What I want to prepare for you tonight, a number of these are going to be Spanish in origin. My husband is Cuban born, so some of these come from him as well, so from his background. And the first thing I think I want to start is I want to start the Spanish tortillas, so you need to find that on your plate. Now, the Spanish tend to use way more oil or fat than I do when I prepare this, because they tend to fry them and then drain it. And I've never done it that way. I don't see a need to do it that way. The other thing about this, by the way, is this is actually better served at room temperature. So it's a really nice thing because you can do it 2 hours before anybody's going to get there. Just flop it out onto a dish and let it set. And you know, you can use it. We're going to have it. You have options as to what you can dip it with, or you can just eat it as is. Okay. I just want this pan nice and hot. A knife should kind of pierce them pretty easily, but you see, like that one's a little not quite done. This one's close. And how I did it is I peel the potato, I cut it in half the long way, and then cut it that half in half the long way, and then just slice it. Not quite 1/4 inch thick. I just find you can dice it if you prefer. Some of the women that I know that are Spanish, they make them thinner. It's just kind of whatever, you know, you want to do with, you know, however you want them. I like them sliced because I find they layer kind of nicely. They'll layer in better, I think. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. And we're just going to let that cook for a bit now. Okay, the next thing you want to find is your pasta de bocadillo de jamón. And that's it. I sound like I really know what I'm talking about, don't I? This is from, this is from my husband's background. And I was just chatting with this gentleman here earlier. There isn't a Cuban household that has a party that doesn't have bocadillos. Bocadillos mean like a little mouthful, a little bite. And normally it's this. We affectionately refer to this as ham dip, which kind of lacks a little charm, you know? It should have kind of a bite to it, just a little bit of a bite, like a vinegar bite, an acid bite maybe, before you kind of store it. And you definitely want to, the nice thing about this is, again, you can make it, it's better made the day before. And the red is pimento. There's cream cheese in this. There is pickle relish. And what makes this one a little bit different is, this is not how my mother-in-law made it. My mother-in-law didn't put red onion in it. But over the years, I've put very finely diced red onion in it. We kind of like it that way. So make it yours. In winter, you can still get fantastic pineapples and fantastic papaya. It's wonderful wrapped around papaya. It's wonderful wrapped around pineapple. And it's different. You know, people are used to it. And I mean, it's wonderful if you can, in the summer when you get the nice melons. And even the melons we get now aren't too bad. But still, pineapple, now that they've have done things with it, is always good, generally speaking. And mango, that's just, it's different and it's pretty on a plate. But I did want to mention that. Any questions about this? On the very last page, I gave you a recipe where you can make your own. And we also carry a chorizo sausage blend that you can add to ground pork and do it that way if you'd like as well. What you do is, and this is not a medjool date, and to be honest with you, the original recipe did call for medjool, so I left it there. A medjool date is a much larger date, and I tend to think that cocktail food should be a bite, or at the very most 2. Thank you. And you slit it like this, and you open it like a book. Make sure there's no pit. And then what I do is I take the bacon and I put it on a cookie sheet in the oven at about 450 for maybe 10 minutes. Just to get some of the fat out of it, because this pan had a good bit of fat in it and I just drained it off. Because you don't need it. There's no reason to have that fat in the pan. And it would have had twice that much. They would have been swimming, and I just don't like that. It's a personal thing, you know. And then you just wrap this around. And you could put a toothpick in it, but when you have, you know, if you can kind of find a container that'll pretty much hold them right next to each other, you know, like nice little cozy, the way those work. You don't need them. They'll just kind of cozy up next to each other, and then you bake them in the oven. And this is the pepper sauce. Normally you would do this in the oven. We have many things here, but an oven is not one of them. So we're going to do this on top of the stove. And this is the pepper sauce. It's a bell pepper, or bell peppers, onion. Well, you have the recipe, so you know it's a pretty straightforward recipe. And I just am going to let these warm through, and then I'm going to nap them with this sauce. And that means just kind of, you know, not just dump the whole thing on, because I'm not going to need this whole thing. Okay. Now, I'm going to do this because I got plenty of eggs in here, and I was afraid that I might not have enough, so I put, I think, a little more than I want. No, it's okay. No, it turns out it's okay. As you can see, I kind of tend to eyeball things. Okay, nope, I'm going the wrong way. No, now I've gone the wrong way completely. There. You want it really low. Okay? Can everybody see that, by the way? You can see it, okay? And I'm just going to do this, okay? And you kind of want to submerge those potatoes. Yeah, okay. And that's going to sit there, and that's going to cook. Aren't you? Because it helps if you talk to your food. Let me just put some of this on here. Okay. Now, I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to just kind of, you know, do this. You can see I'm not slathering it on. I'm just kind of dropping it in here. I have a gas stove at home. You would think I would be able to operate these things, wouldn't you? Because what will happen as this heats is it will kind of drip down in between. Now these are a mixture of pecans, pistachios, and almonds. Okay. I don't think I put anything else in here. There.
When you do those, do you use raw or do you use roasted or?
Raw or better.
Okay.
It's just, you know, this is too high. I can't toss. I have to use it. It's going to end up on you guys, and that's not going to be good. And you know, normally it calls for butter. I tend to kind of not always like to. There's something about butter and nuts or anything that you're going to. It's great flavor, but anything that you're going to serve just warm even or at room temperature, it tends to sometimes get kind of a film on it that when you bite into it, it's not always that pleasant. You know, there's kind of a greasy film, for lack of a better way of describing it. So when I do this, normally I will not always use all butter. I will use part butter. And, you know, I've had this recipe for years and I've used it, and I guess it, you know, it kind of evolves over the years, as things do. You see how this is, can you see? Yeah, I guess you can. I can move it over a little bit. There. You see how it's starting to cook in, okay? And you see how when I move it, you can see it's moving. And you know, these nuts, by the way, you can put curry powder in here. You can put, it's, actually I will tell you that, what is it, where is it here? One of the, no, these are the, the lava java, it's one of the seasonings that's on the wings we have. It's called Classical Mexican, and it has a good bit of lime flavor to it. And that was great. I did some nuts. It was great on those. And it's kind of a matter of taste. You know, find what you like. But these are a great thing because they can be done ahead. Okay, now this is the Worcestershire. Did I say that like I grew up here? Is that how you say that? And I use maple syrup.
Oh, instead of the brown sugar? Or?
Yes, but you can use brown sugar. I just felt we didn't have anything maple.
So that you just poured in there was the Worcestershire and the maple sugar together.
Syrup.
So that was both of them.
Yeah.
Can you use maple syrup or sugar?
Yeah, but you could use maple sugar.
No, I have maple syrup.
But yeah, and that was this is a grade B maple syrup. If you can find grade B, buy it. It has a lot deeper, more intense flavor. It's what people cook with, generally speaking, but I use it for everything. It used to be much less expensive. Alas, no more it's not. Okay, now, where's my salt? I want to put some salt on it now. Okay, that's looking better. And when you are at this point where you put that syrup in, or any sugar, you really do have to keep these moving because, you know, they burn easily. This could be, you know, end up on the floor. I'm just telling you that from the get-go. But there is stuff there you could try. All right. Yep. It's very hot. There we go.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, there. That's. And now it will finish. Ah, okay.
She's happy.
I can resume breathing now. Okay. I'm just going to cover this. Now, this got a little crunchier than I'd like it to. And that's part of the reason I'm going to cover it, because it'll kind of soften up. And the wings are warming, I believe, right? Okay. Those are the Cubans, the bocaditos in the potato bread. You can put them on crackers, you know. I'm wanting to get the servings here. Sweet juice. There you go. All right. I think we can eat. Let me see. Maybe let's put this in the meatball. I just left the little pretzel-y guy in here. And feel free to use. Just take them that way if you like.